Morning all. Hello there, I'm Tim and this is How to Murder Feet, a offshoot of How to Murder Time, which used to be a thing about video games. Whatever happened to those guys? Anyway, this is basically my video diary thing, which I still seem to be doing somehow. And this is Southend on Sea. There's the enormous pier, you may remember from last time. And look, it's a lot clearer today, a lot less haze on the sea. We can actually see the far side now, so that's grain over there. All the big drums. Liquid natural gas, pressurised containers or what have you. Power station there. Over there, that must be Sheppey then, this big sort of island-like lump, which I never saw, and will forever remain a distant mystery. I think, possibly in the far distance, might be Whitstable, Herne, that kind of thing. Hard to say. A bit far away there. So that's he's about 20 miles away, actually, looking across there. I'm a little bit elevated, I'm on top of a little bit of small, very, very small cliff. Some like winter gardens and things. So this is Southend on Sea, where I got to last time. So yeah, the more astute of you might realise I'm not wearing my massive backpack with the tent on it, and there's a very long and rambling anecdote about that, which basically amounts to bad weather didn't go. So this is the final Sunday of that week that I took off. And I've just decided to start day tripping it with the car again, you know, despite my protestations that this really is at the upper limit of how far I can drive and get back again on a Sunday. But this week that I was going to do, the last week that's gone, I mean, basically I was all bagged up ready to go on Saturday, looking at the weather until late last night, and then even in the very first thing Sunday morning, woke up early, ready to go and get a bus and trains and things. And the weather report showed that there was 4 different tracking thunderstorms going to be in this particular area that night. And, you know, as you'll see today, we're going to be looking at a lot of very open, flat countryside with not much hills or trees or anything. My tent would likely have been the highest point on the landscape for much of that Sunday night, Monday morning when the different thunderstorms were happening. Then I thought, oh God, that's bad, you know. Then I thought, all right, well, I can postpone it a day or so because I only need 5 days out of the 9 or so that I got off. And I kept pushing it back. And then it turned out that there was like 40 mile an hour gusts for most of the midweek, plus some very heavy rain around the Tuesday, Wednesday. This may all sound like a litany of excuses, and in a way it is. But yes, so I thought postponed, and eventually by the time it got to the point where the winds were dropping slightly, I mean, it's quite windy today you'll hear as well, it's gusting sort of 20 or so, 25. I put it off and then ran out a week. So that was my week off done. I spent most of it at home playing video games. So, you know, go me. So, yeah, and now, you know, I work in an office like a lot of people do. And it's a standard kind of a thing. I'm not going to go into any specific details, but like most offices, they do like to have more than 24 hours notice if you're going to take a week off work. So, unfortunately, it's very difficult for even the mighty Met Office to give very accurate weather forecasting more than about 3 days ahead, perhaps 5 days with their supercomputers these days. And typically I tend to like, I don't know if it's a hard requirement per se, but I like to give about 2 weeks notice before I take a week off work. There's no way, so basically when it comes to September, and May indeed, the other end of the year, there's no way I can know what weather I'm going to have when I book my holiday. So I end up taking a week off and hoping for the best. And I've been very lucky, frankly. I've gotten into the habit almost of assuming that Septembers are going to be, well, like today, really. You know, generally fine, generally not too cold, generally mild. And there's no obligation for that to happen at all. The very week I took off, an ex-hurricane bowled across the countryside. I mean, it did a real number on Wales. I was out and about at home, near home, visiting family on the Wednesday night, and I was actually in the rain, the big rain when it hit, the one I was mostly worried about camping in, and it was terrifying. And I was in a car, you know, I nearly drowned going through several pooled water flooding bits on the road, and yeah, I mean, I was out with an umbrella in it. We were scurrying from car to building and stuff, and it was coming down so hard I could barely hear myself think under the umbrella. So I can only imagine I would have spent most of those nights lying under canvas, terrified, and not getting any sleep at all. So all in all, I wimped out. Sue me. But, you know, these are supposed to be holidays. So anyway, but that's the problem, because that now leaves me, you know, my next window to do the backpack week would be May, you know. So 7 months of sitting on my hands, not getting any further along the coast path. And actually, the week I had planned, this Southend on Sea to Malden, I'll get the maps out in a bit, It was 75 miles, 5 days, 4 nights, and a very short last day, and that's fine. That's 17 miles, 15 to 17 per day. Remeasured it all up and everything after the debacle over there, and yeah, I thought, well, okay, I can sit on my hands and do nothing for 7 months, or I can just start day tripping it, because from here to Malden, which is where I'm going to finish, was going to finish my week, is actually only 13 miles that way. So basically we're doing a massive sort of wiggly loop around a lot of coastline and eventually coming back to Malden, which is only about a day's march that way, not even a strenuous day. So I'm going to try and keep tracing the England coast path, because that's largely what it is. Remember, this trip for me is not necessarily about the camping. The camping is just the most expedient way of doing this stuff, or it used to be. For me, it is walking the path. Now, how I sort the logistics out and how many days I do in a row, or whether I have weeks between, is not really the point. I mean, I'd like to have done the hard camping. I'm not, adverse to the idea and concept, but I don't know. It felt to me like knowing there was going to be treacherous conditions and then deliberately putting yourself in harm's way is stupid. Whereas being out there when that kind of thing suddenly hits, well, I mean, it shows a lack of planning and lack of looking at the weather and stuff, but dealing with it when it's thrust upon you is one thing, but going and putting yourself in that position in the first place when you could avoid it is stupid. So yes, so I've got 5 days worth to do that I would have done in a single week. That I'm going to have to do as Sundays now, driving up here. It's about 2.5 hours driving each way to here, but because it's sort of going radially up an arc, from my house to Southend and then Malden, so it's broadly the same kind of distance all the way on all of the stages for this 5-dayer that I would have done as a single week. So I can just about drive here and do it backpack Sunday style. And that's what I'm going to have to do, rather than otherwise the alternative is essentially sit on my arse for 7 months and then hope I get good weather in spring, in May. And I've come up with a plan to deal with that as well, because it's basically folly to pick a single week and 2 or 3 weeks in advance and say, yes, that's the week I'm going to go and hike this thing, and the weather will obviously be fine, because it always is, and it usually is, but sometimes isn't, as I found. So my new plan is to essentially pencil in both the first and last weeks of May and September, respectively, and try for the first week, and if that looks like an absolute stinker, I can bail and then still book another holiday 2 weeks later in the same month, roughly the same temperature, roughly the same conditions, and then try again. So I get 2 goes at getting a good week each season. So that's sort of the plan I'm going to go with anyway. I mean, I get enough holiday overall to be able to cover 4 weeks off a year, but I shouldn't need both of them every time. That's only if I get real bad weather. Anyway, that's a plan. That's contingency for May. That's worry about today. Anyway, today we're going from the pier down there. Not going on the pier. We did that last time. It's a very impressive pier, especially from up here. I walked all of that. It's 1.3 miles long. Yeah, twice that both ways. So yeah, down to the seafront, turn left, along to Shoeburyness, which is sort of around the corner here a bit, and then we're going to immediately hit an inland detour and a series of river estuaries and all sorts of inland backtracking and so on, which means we won't see the sea for another 3 trips probably. Where we have to go around Foulness Island, which is also MOD Shoeburyness, a kinetic military installation. We don't go on there. We zigzag inland a bit up the River Roch to is it Roch? Not Roch, yeah. To a small town called Rochford over there, where I've left the car. Yes, the car's continuing on with me as before. So yeah, that's the plan anyway. And yes, so sorry to disappoint if you're expecting backpack troubles and tent nightmares, but I guess that's that for this year. We'll try that again in May for the next stage, which will be Malden to don't know where yet. All gets a bit contingent now. Anyway, let's get another day's worth done. 17 miles today. Should be back to the car for about 6 or 7, which is good because it's starting to get dark earlier again. The September's rolling on. This is late September now, mid to late September. So I'm looking sunset probably about 8 o'clock at the latest, proper dark. So yeah, I'm going to get on with it. What time is it now anyway? It's only 10:41, so I got lucky. I mean, getting like I say, it's only 13 miles away to Malden. So, but I mean, Rochford is only about 3 miles away that way. But I'm doing a big loop today, so that's good. All right, let's go and get on with it. Walking a little while, still not found any acorns yet. I mean, I know they're broadly this direction, so I'm just going to keep walking that way until I find it narrows down to just one path, and then I'll know I'll be on it. I have done some online map research to plot out the basic route I was going to do just this week. I've had to redo the staging though. Obviously I was aiming for wilderness stopovers overnight for doing the necessary, but now I need to be looking at town jump off points for public transport. And I tell you what, today is the only day I can use public transport to get from car to start of hike. Everything else up to Malden, there's no Sunday bus services or trains or anything, which means the next 4 Sundays after this one are going to be loops. I'm going to have to start and end at the car, and only some of that loop will be progress along the coast path, so that's going to be annoying. Still, there we go. This is the main reason I wanted to do the backpacking hiking thing, but I don't think I can wait 7 months, you know, it'll worry at me too much. Anyway, here we are, Southend on Sea still. Proper seaside town this, amusement arcades. Don't know, lots of ice cream and inflatable thingies. Something of a beach. There's a sort of sandy, gravelly composite aggregate going on here. And there's the train going along the pier. Oh, I'm in wobbly mode. Well, that's alright, means I can zoom. There we go, all aboard. Circle Line, District, Hammersmith. It's quite windy today. I'm going to apologise in advance for any microphone blowing, but I'm afraid you're just going to have to take it really, because I am. And this is just the sort of wearing it out tail end of what was going on earlier in the week, which is the main reason I bailed. So, I mean, that early thunderstorm on the Sunday night, Monday morning, I could probably have sort of stepped around by starting later in the week, but this wind has been pretty like this pretty much, and stronger, with accompanying heavy rain quite a lot of the week. So yeah, I think I made the right call, I think. I mean, if you can't trust your own judgment in these things, and I have done a few of these now, then I mean, who can you trust? Well, I'll tell you who you can trust. You can trust experts, in specific the experts of the Met Office in this case, and their massive supercomputers. So yeah, but I think I know what I can take and what I can't, really, in terms of outdoor hardship. And yeah, anyway, I'm going to stop justifying myself to you guys, because I know you don't care. I'm going to carry on. Yeah, so do you remember my disastrously planned initial 170 miles in 6 days plan for this start? That was going to be night number 1, because I didn't think I was going to find anywhere to camp here, but it's always a way. That's a bit more of a ballsy spot than I'd go with. I think that might actually just be homelessness. But yes. I mean, this week has been doomed from the inception. I've had 2 goes at planning it, neither of them panned out, and now here I am day tripping it. So, hey ho. Anyway, good news. I have seen an England Coast Path sign, so we are definitely on the right path again. That's good. I mean, you know, if in doubt, find the sea, keep it on your right, walk forward. But it's nice to have confirmation. In fact, it's nice to have signage, because I'm starting to get a bit worried about, you know, the general readiness of the England Coast Path as an actual concept. So it's always good to see. Oh yes, look, an acorn. I mean, we happen to be on National Cycle Route number 16 anyway, so you know, ECP's a bit shifty like that. It likes to claim credit for paths that were already there, but doesn't like to forge new links, as far as I can tell. Anyway, petering out of the strip. The seaside town bit. Oh dear, look at those clouds. Yeah, I might be in for some rain today, around sort of lunchtime-ish. I've got all the waterproof clobber, so, and a towel in the car, which I keep forgetting previously. So I'm very well prepared today. But yes, it might be a bit bleak and wild and windswept and rain-lashed, some of this. But I can go home and have a nice bath and a warm bed, so, you know, swings and roundabouts. Go on then, one more. So that is the Tokyo Bay. 9.3 metre draft, 14 knots, on its way from Netherlands, I don't know, Netherlands MSV, I don't know what that is, to LGR, which I think might be grain. Container ship. Looked like a Malaysian flag, but don't quote me on that. I don't know a lot of flags. Stacked up with stuff. Bit of a monster. That's 10 times zoom. Yeah. Here we go, new vistas. This is Shoebury Ness we're hoving into now, which marks the sort of the turn, the corner. We truly will be out of the mouth of the Thames when we go around the end of there, in the next half an hour or so, by the looks of it. That is the open North Sea. Let's go zoom. There's nothing to see out there. And that's kind of the point. Somewhere out there is Netherlands, I guess. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, promenading away here. Seen a sign saying Mulberry Harbour, warning don't get cut off, know your tides. So I'm wondering, is that the Mulberry Harbour? The remains of big concrete channel fortification there, good Second World War era, I guess. Guard the mouth of the harbour. Oh, the river even, estuary. Kite surfers are out today, quite windy. Might be able to hear that. I listened back to some of my old footage, and I seem to have I really underestimate how good the muffling is on this microphone, the little wind fuzz thing. So I should probably not worry so much about you not being able to hear a word I'm saying, even though I can barely hear myself think in my ears. The microphone seems to cope quite well with those. A lot of kite surfers out. I don't see windsurfers so much these days. Maybe the kites is the new thing. Easier, more fun, whatever. Not less hassle, I suppose, but they fold up nice and easy. You know, these massive poles to try and stuff in the back of a van or something. That'll go in a car probably. Smaller than the board you're on anyway. Still see the pier. Yes. Right. So we'll get around the end. Man, some of these people are really going for it. It's got to be like a 20 mile an hour. They've got some kind of harness arrangement, a bit like a climbing harness. Yeah, that's he's completely hands off just there. It's obviously attached to it. There must be some sort of quick release mechanism though, otherwise you could be in some serious trouble if that thing picks you up. There we go, there's one just coming in, sorting himself out, going in, coming out, whichever. It's that guy there, so you can see the length of twine they got. Off it goes. Must have a reel somewhere on the harness then to pull in and drag out. And actually he was wearing some sort of it's like a padded wetsuit, big chunky, almost like a motorbike suit, but wetsuit. So obviously you're going quite fast, smack into the waves, they start to actually bludgeon if you hit them fast enough and hard enough. And of course, yeah, there's all these boats and things in the way as well. Slam into some of those. These guys are really going some. Using the whole body weight to actually they're just standing in the sea. It must be really shallow all the way out there then. Very shallow tidal range. That's obviously not very deep. It's only like about a foot or two deep. Yeah, half of these boats are listing because they're actually sat on the bottom. Okay, so that's ideal for this kind of thing then. Yeah, you want just enough water to provide your surface, but not enough that you're just going to drown if you fall off. Sink to the bottom with all the club rock. I just noticed the side. Right, good. Which of the moorings? Is that all that? Oh well. Yes, some grounded ones there. Carbon fibre ribbing, I imagine. Keep it as light as possible. Fantastic. As soon as I stop filming there, whoosh. Fence, go away. This is a military area, I think. No red flag, but even so, no access. That's okay, we got an inland detour. So this was one of my early contemplations for a bit of a crafty kip, but as you can see, spike fence, go away, probably cameras. I tend not to trespass on military property if I can avoid it. So we go around. Saying that, we do actually have to come in here. We're actually allowed in this bit. And look here, see, look, I'm allowed to be here. I'm supposed to be here. Good. I guess that sort of follows around and goes oh, I see, that's the actual military bed, just the other side there. So obviously this cuts along the shoreline instead. Okay, that's good. Yeah, here we go, Gunners Park. So we go around the end of here and then we're off on our way up to the Shoeburyness MOD base. Although we'll detour inland from there as well. So yeah, okay, so we go around this thing here, or cut along here. So I was thinking of camping somewhere in here, but that just looks like a stupid idea. Now I'm on the ground. No, I was going to travel-lodge this stage, but yeah, okay, on and away. Any adders? Common lizard, okay, you look safe enough. Let's go. Bloody hell, that gave me a fright. Turned around, I saw this red flag-like object in the sky at around flag height behind me as I was passing this military range. Turns out it's actually just another kite surfing kite. So yeah, still trogging along the edge of here. There's gunner's range or something. I mean, the fence has rotted away even, look at that. I don't think it's seen military use in, I don't know, 20 years or more? 30 years perhaps? Could be more than that. And you know, they don't... You think, well, you could just, you know, if you're not using it as an actual... Oops, press pause for more information. Something about Spitfires. If you're not using it for actual manoeuvres and drills and bombings and stuff, why not just open it up as parkland again? But then, you get this kind of thing. And they're just not worth anyone's aggravation, their liability, so you leave it fenced off forever. But I suppose in doing so, you inadvertently create a fantastic nature reserve that's very well protected indeed. No one's going to build on there. Not for a very long time, I shouldn't think. And people and dogs and things aren't allowed in there either. So yeah, wildlife can thrive, I guess, which is a kind of an ironic thing. Maybe the MOD are some of the country's best natural custodians, who knows. Now, you're not allowed to use this beach at all for anything whatsoever, my big red signage says, this particular piece of beach. All sorts of prosecutions that follow if you try. So again, I think they're just worried that unexploded whatnots have flown out of here and landed down there and then sat there for decades or more. No real way to know. Again, you know, rather than do an expensive clean-up operation, just, you know, prohibit it. Yeah. Continuing the theme of if you just walk further, you'll find out. Specifically, yeah, caisson for Mulberry Harbour. Oh, okay. Sprang a leak. Okay, that one broke, but the other ones were actually concrete harbours that floated and were dragged across the channel to Normandy. Wow, there you go. Yeah, I think my vague first attempts at planning debacle would have had me trying to put a tent up somewhere in this park, which, as you can see, is probably not a great idea. Ooh, nice though. That's a bit of water. So we're not in an actual military fenced-off bit, but yeah, a little too audacious, I think. Still, no. I mean, the actual plan, the end of the week I ended up planning for that I was trying to do had me camping much further on and around, so I managed to sidestep all this. Yeah, right, yeah, gotta keep going, not quite at the very end yet. Another vista of the sea, around the corner a bit now. You can sort of see Thanet in the very distance there, Margate and stuff. Don't know what that is, it's really ruining my view. Massive long, I'm going to try to zoom again. Alright, zooming, hopefully. Some kind of very long jetty gantry thing. Goes all the way out to there. And all the way around to there. It's at least as long as Southend Pier. Yeah, that's down on Google Maps as anti-submarine boom temporarily closed, but I guess we can't get out on it. I think we do get to the end of it. More history. Bronze Age, Iron Age, Danish camp apparently. Oh yeah, I suppose we're heading well into Viking territory now, Viking raiding country. All up and down this east side they came with their ships. A posh inland detour bit here. I don't know if this is the inland detour, I think we might still get to the shore. One last glimpse before we strike off into the hinterland proper. Yeah, all sorts of fortifications and crumbling concrete around here. Because I suppose this was the open goal mouth for the whole Nazi Navy during the Second World War. They could get a submarine or some boats up here and cause all sorts of havoc. Very heavily defended as a result, I imagine. Yeah, not so much these days. Very heavily developed, gentrified. Yeah, machine uprising. It's coming right at me. Kill, crush, destroy. Oh no, seen a fence. It's backing off. Yeah, you just obey your organic masters. Seems quite a haphazard and slow way to mow a lawn. Can't have much capacity in there either. Must have to keep emptying every 5 seconds, unless it's just not picking trimmings up. Oops, it's found a tree. I seem to remember having one of those in the 80s. You had a little keypad on the top you could program directions in. The future is here, the future is now. I've never seen one of those before. That's hilarious. I don't think we have anything to worry about with automation, to be honest. Meat sacks would always find employment. Wind picking up. Yeah, I think you might be allowed on this bit of beach. That's a vast swathe of no-go area though. I see a lot of red signs around this part of the world. All down to Kinetic, I think. The spun-off, privatised MOD subcontractor that owner occupies Foulness Island up ahead. I think they're the sort of organisation you find is the villain in a lot of Tom Clancy spin-off media. Books, video games, films, etc. I hear the next Ghost Recon game is going to be set on Foulness Island. It's going to be quite dull, flat, not many helicopters to steal. But yes, this looks like a bit of beach you are allowed to go on, or at least there's a bunch of people trespassing on some military range, and this will be hilarious any minute now. But yeah, anti-submarine boom in the distance there, particularly known as Sticks, apparently. So that narrows the mouth a bit, helps it easier to patrol, and I guess they never tore it out again after the end of the Second World War. Mind you, maybe it's there to stop submarines coming in now. Mind you, that's very shallow tidal range actually, so I mean by definition those posts are actually stuck in, you know, in sand or mud or whatever, so it can't be that long, can't be that deep. Alright, okay, so I think we still get to go a bit further ahead, and then we'll have to say goodbye to the North Sea for, I think, probably about 3 weeks worth now, 3 trips, until we get back out there again. I can see Tidal Farm, yeah. Alright, let's see what we can find anyway. Find somewhere we're allowed to walk. There we go. 1912, Leslie William Holmes, 2002, remembered with love and sadly missed by all the family. There we go. So that over there is essentially the end of the line. Big chain link fence, go away buildings, etc. And a big left turn sign for the England Coast Path, which goes off over there. So this is as far as we go along the shore. There's your submarine barrier thing. It also keeps people out with big red signs on. Other side of that is MOD out quite far to sea as well. Coastwatch Institute thing on the corner. But yeah, for yours the coast is over. But that's okay. So basically we go inland and we do like a whole load of river stuff, and then 3 days worth of hiking later, which will be 3 weeks now, real time, we might find ourselves looking out on this view again. Probably easier to demonstrate with the map. Let's have a rummage in it. Did I bring the map? I thought I brought the map. Hang on, look at the horizon for a bit. Get a bit dizzy rummaging around in there. Alright, so let's have a little look, see. Not going to open it because it's very windy indeed. Oh yeah, sorry for pointing every which way there. Right, here we go. So, here we are. Now this was going to be the map that I was going to use for the entire week of my hiking, because in fact I'd spend an entire week covering pretty much all of it, in fact, starting at Southend on Sea. The original plan was to, and finishing at Maldon. Maldon, I don't know. Also seems to be having trouble focusing. Oh, because it's on focus lock, hang on. Oh, there we go, it seems much happier. Right, yes, so you can read it now. So, Southend-on-Sea, where the Saffron Trail ends. Bloody hell, I didn't even know that was a thing. Yes, we're here, Shoebury-Ness, and coming up here now. Up to here. Now, there's a big chunk that I can't go on anyway as well, but also the entire Foulness Island. Foulness, there's a word that conjures images of biological or chemical weapons testing. Yeah, well, that's all off limits. So we're going to go inland up here to the River Roach. Oh, it is Roach, but Rochford, not Rochford. Anyway, we're going inland up to there, and I was going to camp on that junction of those little things for the first night of my proper week, but I'm not now because I'm not camping. Instead, I'm going to carry on down the end to Rochford in the remainder of this day, and then grab the car, which is currently waiting there for me, I hope. And then, yeah, well, I'll talk more about the rest of it as we go, but basically I need to go, my week planned was then all the way up here, up that little one, back down around Wallasey Island. There's a ferry here that will take me across to Burnham-on-Crouch, and I really did need to take that ferry because inland was another day and another day back. It goes quite far in that way into South Woodham Ferrers or something. Don't have to worry about that now. I'm not going to worry about the ferry now because obviously I can drop the car at various places. But then, yeah, then the plan was Burnham-on-Crouch out to the end, and that's where we get back to the sea again. That's like 3 days worth of hiking. And then all the way up this long stretch here, the Dengie Peninsula, Dengie Marshes, whatever, up to Bradwell-on-Sea. There's a nuclear power station up there. That would be interesting to look at. But I think it's a decommissioning one as well. And then back round here to all these places, round here. I was going to... So basically I was going to camp one night somewhere up there, one night somewhere around here, and then finish a short day in Malden. But no, that's going to have to be Sunday trips now. And the worst of it is there's no Sunday buses anywhere around here. It's all Monday again. So basically, once I've finished with Rochford today, I mean there was a replacement bus service for the railway between Rochford and Southend. So anyway, I got lucky there. But basically everywhere up to about Malden, there's no real convenient Sunday public transport at all. This is sort of wilderness really. Despite this to this only being 13 miles in a straight crow's fly line, the actual route I had planned was 75 miles of zigzagging. Anyway, Rochford today, and we'll worry about the rest later, but I mean basically I'm going to have to be dropping cars and then doing loops and then walking back to the car, then coincide with more further loop that picks up and carries on. It'll make more sense as we do it, but yeah, and somehow it's still only going to be about 5 days worth. It's maybe 6, so, but that's going to be Sundays now, and it's going to get shorter as well. As shorter days as the year rolls on. What are we at now? This is like 24th of September Sunday today, 2023. So yeah, it's probably going to be like mid-November by the time I get to Malden now. No, mid-October rather. No, mid-November probably. Yeah, I think my current planning has me in Malden on the 5th of November. So we'll see. It'll be getting colder. I don't know what the winds and weathers are like here normally. I'm more used to the south centre and south and south coast of England. So we'll have to see. Anyway, there we go. So I'll have a swig of water and then we'll head on inland, I guess. Say goodbye to the sea for certainly the rest of today and for a few trips to come. So let's try and get some good views of it while we can. The North Sea beckons. Get to see a whole load of it before we finish at Berwick-on-Tweed. I mean, it's basically this is the sea we're going to see for the whole rest of the England coast path up to Scotland now. This ocean, North Sea, not an ocean, sea. What's the difference? Capacity, hectares? I don't know. End of the line, but another line begins over there. Well, there we go. Say goodbye to Southend-on-Sea, goodbye to the Thames as well. That's just, so from Margate to here, it's taken me about 18 days. 18-day trips, hikes. Ow, spikes, ow. Yeah. Ow, bleeding. Bloody hell. Yeah, so, right, yeah, we've left the Thames in earnest now, so we're now, once we get this wiggly river bit out of the way, we'll be on our way out the east coast path. I don't even think that's probably a thing. Let's just go with the England coast path from here on. But, yeah, it's all been a bit suburban the last half hour or so, but I think we'll be back to raised earthwork seawalls before long, and river estuaries. So, yeah, good stuff. I've done for time. 12:41. I think I'm good. And this is going to be a bit longer than I was going to do for today, but because I had to have time to set the tent up before dark. But I think if we keep pushing, and the lighter bag helps as well, should be good. Should be able to do it. 1 o'clock lunch break. So this is Wakering, and I'm down here, I think. Oh no, that's it. That should be around there. Someone's been bending these again. Down there it is. Righto, on we go then. Some miles in. Yeah, hello. So yeah, so far so good. I'm on the right path, hooray. Now see this. What's this all about? Coming in here, putting his stamp on my path. How dare he? Not my king. Well, I'm going to use it anyway. Just because it belongs to the king. I don't mean to say I can't walk on it. So somewhere up here, now I'm a bit confused. So I've been looking at the map and stuff, and I noticed that, you know, searching for the path, which apparently the king has gone and bagged, there was something I found called the Broomway, which I thought initially was part of the coast path, and then discovered a bit more about it. I'd recommend going to YouTube and looking for, search for Tom Scott, the Broomway. Tom Scott's a much more famous and interesting YouTuber than I ever will be. He's got millions of followers and millions of videos, does lots of interesting, educational, entertaining and so on. John showed me this one once, and it's basically, the Broomway is like an ancient footpath going back to some sort of statute a long time ago that runs on the mud flats on the eastern side of Foulness Island, which means it both starts and ends in the prohibited military bit, but is somehow and for some reason still a usable footpath. I don't quite understand how you can get to it, let alone use it. It runs on mud flats that are about a quarter of a mile out to sea, which means the whole path can only be accessed during a very low tide. And apparently lots of people die on it. I think when Tom Scott went to do it, he had to get a local guide to help him. And then once you get to the far end of it, you find yourself in a military base and you're not allowed to go any further. You have to just turn around and come back. So, yeah, I don't know. I think we might come across some signage leading to it, which suggests there's at least some partial access across the prohibited zone. But I don't know. I'm certainly not going to be trying it today. But if we see a turning, I'll point it out and then ignore it. But yes, now we're carrying on the west side of Foulness Island, following the river estuaries and so on, as we saw on the map. This is Wakering Common, which is nice. Although I have already seen a sign specifically prohibiting camping, so there you go, them's the rules. No camping if you've seen the sign. It would have been too early to camp here anyway, I think. I'll show you where my first planned night was going to be for my aborted week. But it's not for some time yet, a couple of miles to go before that. So we're just going to enjoy this little countryside-y bit. I think Foulness is sort of over that way somewhere. But come quite close to the river that separates us from it, and follow the opposite side, in fact, so I'll be able to look across the river longingly. I mean, looking at the map of Foulness Island, it looks like there's at least 2 small villages on there. So I don't know how that works, whether those are actual real villages and the people who live there have got special passes and can just come and go as they like, or whether they're village-shaped target training areas, are mostly inhabited by mannequins mowing the lawn and stuff. Don't know. Not sure I want to find out either, really. But here we go, there's another one, just in case you were getting ideas about dropping some canvas. A big list of things you're not allowed to do, which is pretty much the story of the British countryside, I find. So there you go. You can enjoy it within certain very defined parameters, generally. There we go. Bench of the Dead, Queen Elizabeth II. It wasn't a Bench of the Dead when they put it here, I imagine. There you go. Oh, right. Let's see where this goes. Just come from that way, heading up here. But yeah, back there and to the left there's the public footpath sign, which points off towards where I believe the Broomway terminates, or starts, according to my OSM map viewer application, which implies some degree of public access across the stripy red bit. Still, there's nothing for me out there and I don't want to chance it. Let's head this way, away from a stupid death trap of a footpath that kills you at medium tide. Yeah, like I say, go look for that elsewhere online. I'm not going to show you today, or ever probably. Wikipedia, also helpful. Yes, here we go. So we're starting to enter the kind of terrain we're going to be looking at for quite a few days ahead. You might be noticing it's quite flat, not many trees around. And I would have been walking into a thunderstorm of the evening. I was planning on camping out here, so you know that wasn't a thing. Kinetic flag flying on the post there. A bit of "you're not allowed in here" big dish on the top. Who knows? Hard to know what's still in use and what's old stuff left over, you know. And of course, it's not really the sort of place that inquires curiosity. It rewards curiosity, rather. Rewards inquiry. Yeah, we're going to get a lot of this as well. Most of these signs are aimed at cars, I think. I think I'm still allowed to walk along here, though. I've definitely seen the England Coast Path sign. So yeah, let's just keep going. See how much military paraphernalia we can get away with long shotting. That's the actions of a spy, generally, isn't it? Look at that, not even cycling. Footpath only. That's good, I like it. Me, and maybe a few people who live here. On that farm, perhaps. Oh, another no something sign over here. Was that no photography? Oh, no drones. No coastal access rights. Well, how dare you? How very dare you? That's pretty much my raison d'etre at the moment. Well, to hell with you then. Open access natural England. Yeah. This open access, like Coastal Margin Foreshore Act, has certain specific exemptions, I think, and that might be one of them. Probably because it's like, you know, a military base of sorts. But it's a huge military base. Look on the map how big Falmouth Island is. We're not even actually on the island. This is still the land bit they've grabbed as well. The island itself is that away somewhere. We will be on the opposite bank to the island. We'll be able to see the island, but that's about all we'll be able to say about it. Now we're going off here. So yes, this is suddenly a very flat and empty and open landscape. Would not like to get caught out here in a thunderstorm under any circumstances, and really wouldn't want to be camping out here in heavy winds or high winds or heavy rains, which is definitely getting high winds last week and heavy rains as well. So yeah, I'm alright with rain when I'm walking on day trips, because I remember to put a towel in the car this time, and I've got all my waterproofs anyway, and yeah, dry out on the way home, fine, sleep in a warm dry bed. But yeah, the backpack is a different thing. Look at it. Suddenly it's all quite bleak, and it's not going to substantially change like this. This is the East Coast. This is what it's like, I think, mostly, until you get to around Yorkshire kind of way. Certainly all of Anglia. Anglia being one of those ancient terms, a bit like Wessex. I think Anglia sort of includes what's now today modern known as Norfolk, Suffolk and Essex, and some other bits of some other places. And sort of general grouping. It's not a legal definition anymore, but more of a historical thing. But yes, Anglia is mostly like this. A lot of farming, but quite flat. So I'm seeing some sort of raised thing over there. It might be a sea defence wall or landfill, who knows. Yeah, so here we go. To the next 1,000 miles. More go away signage. But surely I'm here by right of the king. Do not impede me, I'm on His Majesty's business. Alright, well, it's this way anyway. Just walk through that farmyard. I should have probably taken a photo of it, but one of the barns had a sign on it saying radioactive sealed sauce inside, like a warning sign. Dying to know what they've got in there. Like a huge pile of Brazil nuts or something. Right, so yeah, this is a big old salt marsh that apparently we're not allowed to go in. Some sort of rudimentary tidal defence here. So there's all tidal vulnerable, pretty much the entire east coast is. We're going to see this kind of thing pretty much everywhere we go. Or the concrete variation that we've seen a lot on the southern part. The concrete bridge there, that's the bridge over onto Foulness Island proper, I think, with like checkpoints and guard posts and things. Probably ought not to be pointing a camera, but you know. I'm not trespassing, I'm not breaking any rules. So we have to go around all this salt marsh stuff, bit of a zigzaggy earthwork top seawall type situation. Back to that for a while now, I think. You can see for miles in every direction, it's all flat and no trees. Gets a little bit more hilly over there. I think that might be Rochford or something, one of those. We'll see. Some way to go. I think I'm probably just about over halfway now for today, and it's about 1:30. So yeah, doing well. Reckon, well, it started at 11ish, I think. So probably back to the car for 4:35, something like that. No particular rush today. I've rechecked the weather. I don't think it's actually going to rain. It's going to be pretty much like this all day now, which is good. The wind's keeping me cool. I appear to have the right number of clothes on. Got my merino underlayer on today. It's a very good purchase. I recommend that. I forget the brand precisely, but look for merino wool. It's the future, frankly. Downside of merino, not very durable, so it's probably going to wear out more quickly than the usual stuff I wear. But you can get merino synthetic blends, which are just as good. But yeah, it seems to be wicking away the sweat quite well. So I'm not quite as a soupy mess on my back as I often am when I'm doing this kind of trip. The new bag's got a sort of lattice-like arrangement on the back as well. That helps too. But yeah, the wind it's not cold. It's relatively mild. That word. But the wind is keeping me cool to the point where having the wool layer on is just about right. So that's good. It's not a super thick one, but helps keep the edge off the cold when it does get cold. And listen to me gabbing on about my underwear. I'm going to walk in silent contemplation for a while. I suggest you do the same. Oh, it's happened again. I'm definitely on a path. I mean, there's a post sign pointing me this way. But I don't know where I go now. It's either that way or that way. And you know, in all that excitement about inclement weather and thunderstorms and heavy rain and wind force, Bowforce 7 gales and stuff, I'd completely forgotten about adders. So I'm just going to have to loudly and carefully pick one of these and go for it. I think that just loops around and joins back there, doesn't it? I need to go around this marinery thing. I call it a marina, it's just a bunch of houseboats wedged up on a salt marsh. Not sure it's even an official thing. I suppose we'll have to carefully advance. I mean, pretty much the ECP does follow the shore of these river tributaries, zigzagging in and out. So I guess as long as I do as well, I'll pick up a sign here or there. But yes, slow speed ahead, loud thumping on the ground. And I might just talk to myself even with the camera turned off, you know. Hello adders, here I am. I'm not afraid of them per se. They're not aggressive. They won't attack me. Just the the lols. They wouldn't regard me as a viable prey or anything. But if you startle one or don't give it a chance to escape, then things can turn a bit ugly and self-defensive. Oh, okay. That looks like that comes back onto here. Right. Okay. Still not very well travelled then, I guess. This was part of my worry for the weeks and weeks and weeks ahead. Is I start getting away from everywhere that people have actually gone. So, they start to be places where the path's all overgrown and no one's used it. No matter how many kingly stamps it acquires. Why isn't Charlie out here with his lawnmower sorting this out, eh? Claiming a national trail as your own comes with responsibilities, mate. That's what I pay my taxes for. Something. Don't know. Yeah. I'm not even sure there's an access road along here anywhere. Pretty off the grid type of thing. Got your own gas bottles. If the tide ever floats them, probably not. They're dug in now. They'd have to be watertight, so they're theoretically buoyant, but yeah, who knows. Oh yeah, look, there's a road. Alright, well, let's keep trying to find the path anyway. In the wilds again. Yeah, imagine this is quite charming at high tide, but there you go. Mud slick low tide rivers. Lovely. Wakering Boatyard. Not the most glitzy marina I've seen. Torquay or Southampton possibly. I'm just getting that sort of weird crazy axe murderer vibe from this place. I'm going to keep moving because I don't want to stop. Oh, sun's come out. Ideal basking. I don't know, they're cold and windy. Maybe they're all snuggled away inside. I mean, I'm vaguely aware they spend most of winter hibernating, so you know, as the months go on, they'll be less likely to come across any. You know, they're less likely than 2 in 1,100 miles. So you know, out the boatyard. That's good. That looks a bit go away. Checkpoints. Mind you, the barriers are all up. It doesn't look like there's any. And some sort of military style looking building over there, but that's a bit abandoned looking. I don't know, I get mixed messages generally. I suspect I probably don't want to be across this river anyway. I need to be following it along the other side. We'll see when we get there. See what the little signs have got. Oh, coast path sign says go over there, so I will. I'm just curious about this though. It's pretty ruinous. It's a swing bridge. The middle section turns to let ships through, although I'm not sure what's upstream that would require a big ship to get to. This doesn't actually go anywhere. I'm basically going to go around the end of it and come back on the other side, I think. So, I could just cross here, I guess. It's not. I don't think it's actually military. I think it's just infrastructural, you know. Look at here, some signs. I think those are like flashy lights don't go when the bridge is swinging type of thing. Unless we've already gone through the only military cars are allowed up this road sign. I don't know. Lone lamppost. What do you say? 20 mile an hour, 17 tonnes. I suppose farm vehicles maybe might use it. There's a house over there. Does anyone living there or not? Yeah, it's a strange old landscape this. Oh, windmills. Lovely. I do like a windmill. Yeah. Lots of farmland, I guess. Is this like quite fertile farmland? Or does the salt just actually leach through and poison it all the time? I don't know. Just see what sort of crops we see, I suppose. I wonder if it's all just cattle. Grass will grow anywhere, but I imagine a lot of food crops and cash crops are susceptible. It looks like maize over there. Corn. Well, that's probably cattle feed though. Surprisingly small amount of that corn on the cob type stuff actually is corn on the cob that you'd actually buy and eat. Most of it's grown because it's just quite high carb cattle fodder, I think. Oh, it's a weird bridge. Is it even used? Is it even used? An office there. Looks boarded up though. Metal panel across the door. Doubt it's that's manned at all. Mown grass though. Someone maintains it. Anyway, I need to be over here somehow. Oh, around this side of the lamppost. Flagging a little. I don't know, maybe I'll sit down for a bit and drink some water, or maybe I'll just keep trudging. A fair way to go today, so I can't be tired yet. I haven't got time. Yeah, here we go. Onward. Actually, this is reasonably well maintained, this part. That's just, you know, wind or cattle, you know, been eaten by bunnies or something, or someone has come along here with a lawnmower. Maybe the grass just doesn't grow very well on the day, because I've seen sections over there where it's just completely out of control. So someone must maintain this in some fashion. Just run a lawnmower up here once a year or something, I don't know. I found my ideal job though, by the way. I know what I want to do when I grow up now, is I want to just be given a bag of these and some nails and a hammer, and then just hiking boots and get out there, you know, just hammer them on fence posts as I meander across the land, Johnny Appleseed style. That'd be a perfect job for me, I think. Because I'm always complaining about lack of signage, and I enjoy long distance hiking. It'd be perfect. I'll have to find out who does these, if there's any job vacancies going. I know what it pays, probably not a lot, but I think the perks are going to be worth it. Mind you, I've always thought you should never do your hobby for a living. I think that's the fastest way to ruin an enjoyable pastime. Yeah. Right, let's make another push. Yeah, so I've just done a bit of a check on the map. Turns out that's Potton Island, which is another smaller military thing. So I would have been going quite badly wrong by crossing that bridge. Seen a load of military signs and checked the map and so on. Bad place to be. Well, that's good because I thought I'd have to go along and come back along that shore, but it turns out I don't go there at all. It's good. Carried on over there then. So I'm not too far off where I might be thought of if I thought I was going to be camping the first night out on my proper trip. Further along that way. So pushing along on this. I don't know. It's just, you know, using the word boring just seems cruel. Unnecessary. It's just not. It's not. It is what it is. I mean, it doesn't care what I think of it. It is quite samey, but there is a sort of otherness to it. I mean, this is nothing like where I live. Let's put it that way. This is why I come out to these places. I love it. So yeah, I mean, someone's been through and mown all this. Farmer, I guess. Not much actual straw or grass lying around chopped. So I'm guessing they just came through here and cut it and baled it and stored it in a barn somewhere as fodder for the winter months. Cattle over there in the field in the middle distance. And that's good because that implies they don't let cattle out here to graze normally then if they have to chop it to go to the effort of cutting it down and storing it. So that would be a good spot to be wild camping just anywhere along here really. I prefer more shelter, but you'd want the conditions to be better before you set off, which is what I did in the end. But yeah. And also there's, I suppose the lack of long grass keeps the adders down as well, keeps them somewhere else. I guess they just can't. I'm probably safe from adders entirely then, because from what I read they won't, they'll abandon territory that's disturbed too often and too much, so they just wouldn't be around this short grass. Yeah, good. I appear to be going back towards Wakering by the looks of it. It's a very zigzag loopy double back type of route today. Actually I want to be over there. I'm going that way now. I think I go along the far end of the salt marsh and then down up to the buildings there, then back along and out again. Quite repetitive. Still, I kind of knew what I was signing up for, so yeah. There's a grid reference if you want to play along at home. Halfway house number 2. Halfway to where? Yep, another one of those. So yeah, I'm going to have to just keep following this wall. I mean, I'll get where I need to be eventually, but it's 3 o'clock already. I've been going 4 hours. I'm definitely over halfway. Perhaps 2/3 of the way, maybe. So yeah, I think I'll be back. I would definitely be at the car before dark, certainly. So another 2-3 hours, perhaps. Should be there by 6 at the latest. I think 5:30, maybe 5ish. We'll see. Seems to be the standard. Right, on we go. Oh, a hedge. Let's come to this. My monotony is so complete that a hedge elicits phantasms of joy. Yeah, right, bored now. So that's still the wacky boatyard over there. So yeah, we've just done this massive loop and come back here. Now we have to do a massive loop to get back where we were. I don't like this landscape anymore, it's boring. No, it's fine, I appreciate its stark majesty, but yeah. Just wondering whose stupid idea was it to walk every square centimetre of coastline. No. Nobody wants to see your petulance, Tim. No, just chill. Go zen. Head down, trudge on. Go places in your head. I think we're coming up to some sort of small village before it comes back out again. Not sure what the name is, or even if it has one. Probably doesn't have shops or pubs, so it's definitely pretty interesting. Wow, that's quite windy. My hat's doing that stupid thing again. Most undignified. Anyway, I'm still here, still going. Just kind of settled into a contemplative head down trudge sort of afternoon for a bit. I'll report back from somewhere more visually interesting. Here we go, creek end. Let that guy and his lawnmower go away, finish what he's doing first. Yeah, I think I just cross around the back and then back up the other side. Joy, joy, joy. And there's not even a nice cream shop or cafe or pub or anything in there. Although to be honest, if I go about half a mile that way, I can go to the pub I had lunch in, so you know, it's been that kind of afternoon. So yeah, looking forward to cracking on and getting out of this creek estuary, because it's extremely zigzaggy and bendy, giving an overall sense of very little progress indeed. But it is the ECP, so it must be done. Okay, that's looking a bit less in your face mowing. Let's press on. Ostriches or emus? Kookaburras, I don't know, the ones that like tear your guts out with their claws if you get close. I can stay here. Unusual livestock. There's the bunnies in there, ducks. God, it's a regular menagerie. Impressive. Ooh, yikes. Dead vole. Nearly stepped in it. And if that has got by an adder. Is that a vole? Oh, I don't know. I'm not going back and staring at it. It might be a rat. Right, so yes, need to crack on up the north side of this bloody great estuary thing. I don't know. What are you? Some sort of ostrich? In with a goat? It's just madness here, it really is. I'm going to just keep walking through this increasingly surreal landscape. Do not feed. Yeah, I don't even know what you eat. Something very specific, I expect. Right, good. All that to do again. That was a pretty nominal path. Couldn't really see your feet at all. It's in shadow and there's grass growing over it all, so I was just stumping along. Still, I imagine most snakes would have heard me coming a mile off. Still, now we're onto this. Significantly more well maintained, which is good. I should just stump along here for a bit there. So there's a little boatyard we saw from the other side. So we go up and round to the back. There's like a low hill there, which is I think a landfill, because there's no natural geography around here. And he's going down to the right hand end of that, around the back, and then follow it all the way back to Rochford. So I don't know, hard to estimate how far left to go. 6 miles maybe, 7, something like that. A couple of hours worth of determined stomping. That's good, making progress, and the sun's coming down to that nice golden light, which I enjoy, so that'll be good. Long shadows. Yeah, pleased, getting through the water. I did some reading. I read an article somewhere, a couple of articles actually, although they all may have been copied from the same source article, but that suggests that you need 1 litre of water for every 6 miles of through hiking. I'm assuming that's if you've got a big backpack on and doing the all-dayer. But it's a reasonable amount anyway, and that seems about right, to be honest, because I normally carry 2 litres with me, and I tend to do about 15 miles on average. So, but then I usually get a pint of lemonade somewhere as well to top up, and then drink loads afterwards on my way home. So maybe I do need to start carrying 3 litres of water around with me if I'm in danger of not finding a pub at all during the day or a shop. If I have to carry all my own supplies, 3 litres seems like the right amount, I think then. And that'll give me some leftovers for the night time, which, camping does consume water as well. I'm thirsty in the night, perhaps because I'm dehydrated when I go to bed. Maybe if I drink more before I go to bed, I don't need so much in the night. Also, I have my survival bag in my little mini bag of survival hiking stuff, spare bootlaces, first aid kit, etc. Now also contains water purification tablets, chlorate something or other. Basically you drop one of those in a litre of water, swill it around, and it kills most stuff, including Garda, which I know from long ago research is a waterborne bacteria found in continental United States. Not sure we get it in this country, perhaps in Scotland maybe, I don't know. But yeah, it kills most bugs, so if I find myself desperate and having to drink out of something like that, although that might be salt water. But yeah, if I have to go dip into an animal trough or something, then at least I've got a chance of surviving the experience. But ideally, don't let it get that bad. Grab water from actual human drinkable taps whenever you can. Good. All right. Well, I might move along to this little boatyardy bit and then have a sit down for a couple of minutes, drink some more water and then crack on and keep going. So I'm quite glad to be out of this basin, because I've pretty much seen it all quite extensively from a number of angles. Those colours are nice though. Oh, hello, still here. Just giving you a bit of an update. So we've rejoined the main channel, the channel that I was on before, the creek, so that's good. It's about an hour and a half to get from here to there on the other side. So now we follow this left, that's Potton Island, No-Go Island over there. So we go this way and then we go down to the end of this and turn left again, and at that point we should join the River Roch, which I think might be where those white boats are. Where that bend turns left is where I was planning on camping the first night of my abortive backpacking week, so we'll go and laugh at how bad the pitch is, and that'll be interesting. And then it's turn left and what, three miles down upstream to Rochford, where my car is. So it's about 4:30 now, an hour and a half, 6 o'clock. I don't know, it might be 6:30 finished, to be honest. We'll see. And sun doesn't set until 7:15 or so. So I'll be there by then, I expect. Bit of a night drive home, but you know, that's okay. Get to watch the sunset. Ooh, pretty. Oh, it's been a nice day. A bit tiring. I wonder if I've overspec'd this leg again. I thought 17, and I thought I did measure it particularly well. Maybe 17 is just tiring, you know. Didn't sleep as well as I could have last night for unrelated reasons. Got a bit of a crick neck this morning when I woke up, so I don't know. Lots of factors. But I'm still here, I'm okay. Keep going. The repetitive nature of the serpentine route today has not been doing me any favours. I do like a good long straight bit, you know, a good long sweep straight up a coast or along a coast. I mean, some of the bits and pieces in Cornwall were brilliant, and Devon. You just look up and look to the horizon, you could see like 2 or 3 days worth of hiking ahead of you, all wave bashed promontories and things. Screw Essex, let's go do Cornwall again. I kid. This is beautiful in its own way. It's a little frustrating today. Anyway, there's much similar nonsense hijinks, I think, for next week as well. Going round and round the houses, looping around rivers and things, and then even worse next week as it's a loop day. Which I suppose is good in one sense, in that I don't have to get there to get on aboard a train or anything. I can pretty much rock up whenever I like. I try and set off at least before lunchtime, 12, so I could probably afford not to have to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning, which should be good. Just so that I can make train connections and still get back and so on, without needing a bus or a train during the Sunday as well. That makes the day a bit more flexible, although I get less actual path miles done, because halfway through the day I have to basically break off the path and then loop back to the car. So yeah, the distance goes down a bit. Well, the effective distance covered anyway. I still do the same amount of mileage, I think. Means the videos get shorter, I suppose. I don't know, I seem to be quite good at padding, as I'm doing right now, in fact. Okay, I get the point. Yeah, I see what I did there. Well, here we are then. This was provisionally Casa Tim for night 1. I mean, this is big enough. This is what I saw from Google Space View. But is quite exposed. But it is shorter grass, so I could have perched it here. I mean, someone's already had a fire here once, not so long ago. That's quite a long time ago. This fire down there is a bit more recent. I don't think I would have put it down there, because that floods. I mean, it's the whole point of this wall being here, this cedar fence and concrete and stuff. I don't know how very high tide gets, but how high that gets, but it's coming in now. You can see it's much more blue and glossy and healthy. I don't like the exposed mud. This is the River Roch, running up to Rochford and out to the sea that way, which is what makes Potton Island an island. And also I think that same tributary cuts off Foulness Island as well, which is sort of over there. So yeah, this would have been the first night. I mean, I could probably, it depends what the wind, well obviously the wind was nuts, which is why I didn't go, but there was thunderstorms as well. Have you notice anything taller than me here? Those boats maybe, the masts perhaps, they're quite far away. There's a tree about a mile that way. Yeah, so I think, just camping here directly under a thunderstorm, that would have been very dangerous. But also just very high winds I think would be a problem. I mean, so yeah, there's the top of here, that probably would be the safest bet legally speaking, but then I don't know, also adder wise the shorter grass would be more of a deterrent I suppose, but then down there looks alright. I think that may flood in very heavy rain, which there was, so I didn't go, but yeah, something flat down there, that would have been a bit more sheltered, but obviously only from winds not coming from that direction, which today's wind is. But still lower elevation, it would have been slightly less wind swept down there. So maybe I'd have put it there instead. Yeah, who knows. We got here late enough that no one else would be coming along here, because it is quite far away still to the nearest place. The nearest place probably is Rochford now actually, which is probably still another 3 miles away perhaps. So that's the rest of today to do, is just following this big river. But yeah, this would have been the spot for the night one. And yeah, it would have worked I suppose. Not sure about on top, that seemed foolhardy to be honest, with the wind up and everything. Probably it would have been down there, and then just hope it didn't rain too heavily or flood. Because that red stuff looks like it's habitual flood plain, as it were. That basically the lush grass can't grow very well if it constantly is puddled, whereas this red stuff must be faster growing or more water tolerant. Suggests that red bit is in fact the dried bed of a small pond sometimes. So probably over on the grass, but then I don't know, what adder situation, I'd have had to have just chanced it really and hope they were more scared of me than I was of them. Didn't decide to try and snuggle up to me in the middle of the night. I think I'm too noisy even asleep. I do roll around, I'm sure. And I tend to use a crinkly carrier bag as a pillow as well, so that would have not gone down well with an adder. I shouldn't have thought. They'd keep well away, I expect. Yeah, I think it would have been stupid to try and camp the other side of the sea defence. That's precisely the purpose it's here for. Anyway, right, well, I'm going to sit and just get a bit of a quick rest and some more water on board, and then we're going to make a push towards Rochford. It's now 20 to 5, so I think I'm probably okay. Be close enough by sunset. 25, I mean, it's waiting 2 hours till proper sunset. I don't think it's going to take. Well, I mean, in 2 hours I can usually make about 5 miles, isn't it? And I don't think it's 5 to there. Well, it might be 5, I don't know. Yeah. Alright, well, I'm not going to spend too long here then anyway. Might have measured this one badly as well. Got to sort of stop doing that. Yeah, 5 o'clock. So yeah, it was 5 miles from River Junction there down to Rochford, which will take me pretty much bang on 2 hours. And also the sun sets a little bit earlier than I thought. I just looked it up. So it's at 6:51 today. So I may not get there until just after sunset, but we'll see. Also, I know it's probably a bad idea pointing directly at the sun, but that cloud bank there, when the sun hits that, everything's going to get dark quite quickly, I think, or darker than it might otherwise have done. Although we should be in for some magnificent sunsets, shining through all that. Should be quite spectacular. As long as I can see my feet. I have got torches in my bag in my little emergency kit, but they're not very powerful. They're more if I have to walk down a road at night I can be seen and not killed, They're not great for actual illumination, so last resort emergency. I don't think it would be that bad actually. I'm walking well, making some good time, feeling a bit weary, but that's okay. No more so than usual at this point in the long day. But yeah, I think because I've had to bring my car and park and do all that shenanigans, I've effectively added another 5 miles to what would have otherwise been today's hike. So bringing it up to about 17 or 18 rather than the 12 I originally had. That's okay. Sacrifices for my passion. Just keep walking. I can do it. Wow, look at all those geese. Makes me want to shout, put my hands up. Don't know, that is a bit mean. I don't know how much calories each takeoff consumes from the average flighted bird, but it's probably not negligible. I have to go and find worms to stock that back up with. Seems mean. Alright, let's keep moving. Anyway, loving this sun glinting off the mud, and it's quite spectacular actually. It's a sort of faint touch of Turner to it all, I don't know. Yeah, that's all tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow now. Would have been tomorrow. That's actually next Sunday then, I guess. And is a loop trip. I'm going to have to seriously think about these loop trips, because I think I've underestimated how swiftly the sunsets are getting earlier each week at this time of year. I mean, the end of October the clocks change, and boom, that'd be at 4 o'clock sunset. But hopefully I should be done with all this catch-up homework weeks by then. But even so, even without the clocks changing, the days are still getting shorter. So maybe, and also given that I'm having to double up on my distances for that whole week, effectively walk there and back again for each little piece, I'm going to have to stretch it out into more shorter trips, rather than the ones I might have already thought about. Try and bring it down to, at top end 15 miles, 14 miles with loop back to car, which means I'm only going to get about 7 miles of path done each trip, which means, wow, yeah, God, this might take me over into Christmas. Okay, well, yeah, I've also got a lot of planning to do. Today is today, that's fine. It had a useful start and end with the transport links and everything, but going north from here, it's going to get a bit more ad hoc. I mean, it's not wilderness per se, but they clearly have no need for a Sunday bus service in much of that those lands north of here. So it's put down to me in the car. I still haven't sorted out that whole car bike combo setup. Yeah, I need to get hold of a cheap mountain bike from somewhere. See if that helps. I did some calculations actually, and I worked out, I think, just over straight line distances on a flat road. I think if I walk 4.5 hours walking, which Google thinks will be me doing 15 miles, I can cycle back again in about an hour and 20 minutes or so. I don't know, I haven't cycled seriously in a long time, but it's that order of magnitude basically. Cycling is about 3 times faster than walking, so if I use a bicycle for the return section of a loop, or vice versa, whatever, that means I get much longer of a day to actually do the walking, and the cycling cuts into the time we'd have to spend walking back. Yeah, the maths all work out. It's an idea. I can always throw the back seat of the car, throw down the back seat and turn it into a proper hatchback bit, chuck the bike in there, take the front wheel off if I need to with a spanner, or get one of them luggage rack things for the back. I don't know. If I'm leaving the car alone though, I probably don't want anything that gets stolen off the car, so yeah, I know, that's lots to think about. Probably not something I'm going to get sorted out for all of this stuff, but I don't know. I mean, ideally I'd rather not be taking the car on these adventures any further. Ideally it should be week-long camping trips from here on out, but I don't know. Maybe take a leaf out of the good Dr. Ruth's book. She doesn't camp, so I presume she has a camper van, but I mean, maybe I can use a car and book a week in a hotel somewhere. Cheap B&B, and then use the car and bike combo to attack small pieces of path, returning to a hotel base each night. Who knows? Options for the distant future. I need to get today finished first. See how we go. Oh, I've got time for a slate pan. Here we go. Yeah, Southend, London Southend Airport's just next to Rochford, so that's probably where that's going. A regional airport, I guess. Well, there goes the sun, tucking behind the clouds. I mean, yeah, I'll still be able to see, but it'll be a little bit gloomier and also colder as well. No direct radiation from the sun, be absorbed by the clouds. That's okay. I can see where I need to be. It looks like, I don't know, 2-3 miles away. It's probably about an hour. Let's call it an hour, why not? I didn't even scare them. They're off on their own. I was out doing a few practice laps before the long migration. That time of year, getting on for it. Ooh, I'm 2.5 miles away. Got an hour to go. Which will be precisely sunset if actually 1 minute after, I think. It's a Met Officer anything to go by, although you don't really need massive supercomputers to predict the sunset each day of the year. I mean, I think ancient Mayans and Aztecs were doing that, so it's quite a known factor. All the more reason I should have known about it. Still, there we go. Decided to come down off the top of there and onto here. And I think that might have been part of the problem today, because the going's a lot easier than on this bit. I think part of the problem today is that I've just been going a bit slower because I've been wading through long grass on barely maintained paths for a lot of the day, which, you know, slows me down a little bit, which all adds up over a day. So something else to think about. Can't imagine the paths are going to be much better maintained going north from here, so not till we hit somewhere significant with promenades and the like. So I need to dial back my expectations even further, I think. Oh, yeah, definitely getting tired. Looking forward to being at the car for this one. I know this has felt long again as well, but then I think part of it has been the terrain. There's been a lot of very, not very path-like paths. Reminded me of Pitsea and Wat Tyler Reserve, Nature Reserve, a bit similar kind of thing. No snakes spotted today though, so that's okay. I mean, they might be out there, but they're probably thinking about sleeping in holes in the ground for the year at this point. I believe adders hibernate underground, under log piles and things. Ooh, right. Just conserve my remaining energy to get to the car and then drive 2.5 miles across the M25 and beyond. Seen some motorbikes going down that road in the far distance there. Really, really very fast. Quite noisy too. So yes, the Roach gets a lot less impressive at this end. It's probably more or less high tide as well. Big old boatyard there, that's not today's problem. But I need to keep following this, and then I think soon we come down off of this and we end up following some roads for a little bit, zigzag through Rochford and then to the station. Done. About a mile or so now, I expect. I don't know, I'm just going to keep telling myself that anyway. And yeah, still technically daylight, sunrise, not happened yet, but these clouds have made it quite twilighty. Yeah, just got this bejesus scared out of me by a pheasant. So all that about me not being afraid of adders, because adders are prey to pheasants, has just gone out the window as well. It turns out I'm afraid of them both. Right, keep at it while my strength remains. More light needed for super steady. Alright, it's getting later than I thought. Yeah, I'd forgotten what trees look like, and then there's this little woody bit just to finish me off for today. Right, so we follow this through here, hopefully get up on some roads and then, you know, work through the town. Still on the ECP, technically. Seeing the little acorns. Although I'm wondering, because the ECP points directly back to the station, where I parked conveniently, but I don't know if it goes any further than that. Where do I go next? I mean, I know where I think I ought to go next, but there's no marks on any maps or applications I use to find the ECP on, you know, Google or windy.com that uses OpenStreetMap, but actually includes a useful footpath layer that somehow the OpenStreetMap website itself doesn't seem to include. Yeah, there's a couple of sources, and none of them seem to think the path goes beyond Rochford. So yeah, I guess we're winging it a bit next time, I think. Anyway, problems for next week probably. Or the week after that, I don't know. I may not do them sequentially back to back. I might have some little breaks. Who knows? I'm quite mercurial like that. Stinging nettles. Careful. Long trousers. Thwarted. No shorts for you. Oof, well, we go over there now. Yeah, nearly missed that one. Okay, if you say so. Again, a number of useful little spots for a tent. Yeah, shame I don't have one. Okay, well I guess up here to the road. And then we follow the road, I think, from what my OSR reader's saying. OSM reader. Let's see how we do. We said a trudge along a busy main road against the oncoming traffic. Good going, but noisy. Now we have to cut through an industrial estate late on a Sunday. I think there's a couple of gyms in here though, so there are people about. Getting there. Bit of civilization to cleanse the palate with, I think. That's what we like. Hey, it's our friend Mr. Spiky Aluminium Fence. Are you sure England Coast Path? I mean, it does rather look like the bit where I get murdered. Okay, well apparently there's a way out at the far end and then I turn left and head to the station. Quite sure how necessary this detour is. You know, you having to really stretch to fit any kind of definition of coast to here. I think I'm about 20 miles from the North Sea at the moment. So, there you go. Now I take that back. This looks like the bit where I get murdered. Okay. You've not led me wrong so far. Well, apart from that time I nearly got jumped by an urban fox in Gravesend where it did something very similar to this. Not going to talk about that. Let's just forge on and be too tired to care. Yeah, that works for me. I wanted to show me the Roach again, which is nice. Big long salt marsh there. So I think we go that side and across and up a bit and then left. Still a mile to the car apparently. We're zigzagging. Gets confusing on the estimates. And 10 minutes till sunset, apparently. I'd probably be fine. But yes, I really want to be careful with future scheduling, I think, because that's going to really mess with, yeah, all this daylight falling thing. I need to schedule myself some much shorter trips, I think, going forward. Doesn't matter how many weeks it takes. If I want to get it done, I need to be able to do so while there's still daylight. Alright, got to keep moving. Last mile. I nearly went down there. I know it's got an acorn, but actually, I checked my maps and everything, and that's where we go next. That's the start of next week, next session. So, in fact, I need to go up there and then down to the left, I think, get to the station. Despite what the acorn says. Acorn doesn't know I want to go to the station. I did wonder why the path was marked as going to the station on the maps, on my map app. Anyway, right, so I need to get back here for next time. Another story there. We shall see if that's still there next time. Anyway, right, I need to go this way. Didn't mean to be out this late, but I do like this time of day. Some dusk, not quite twilight, just after sunset. Actually 1 minute to sunset apparently, and the clouds mean it basically has already. Everything's muted, softer colours. Your night vision starts to pop a bit, so you can sort of start to pick up a bit of vibrancy on the edge of your vision. It's nice. Usually the wind calms at sunset, so there's a scientific reason for that. I think it's a bit stiller. Apart from the motorbikes and the nearby industrial estate. Oh, it's been a funny old zigzag of a day. There and back again many times. Anyway, about half a mile down here should break out into Rochford itself, and I should be able to see the train station. My car hopefully is still there. Otherwise I don't know what I'll do. Have a bit of a cry probably. I mean, it is a train station. I could theoretically get home, but I don't think anything's running on that train because it's replacing buses and all sorts. It's very late on a Sunday, so I probably missed everything anyway. I'm going to call that plan no. My car will be there. Oh, God. Yeah, definitely earned this one. Definitely earned these miles. Right, I'll get to the car and do some summing up or something. See you later. Oh, my car's still here. It's the blue one. Doesn't appear to be on fire either. That's good. It's got both wheels on this side, certainly. Ah, brilliant, done. So, Rochford was nice, but it was a bit too dark to really show you. So, plus, you know, looming around the streets at night with strangers everywhere. There's a Sainsbury's local there, that I might dive straight in before I make the grand journey home. The 2.5 hour drive back to my house. Oh God, I'm going to measure this one properly afterwards and find out I did 20 again. Feels like it. I never know if I'm weak or whether I'm putting too many miles on the clock for each trip. Anyway, so there we go. So, yeah, all in all, not a successful week. I've managed one day out of the 5 I'd planned. But at least I got something done, despite the atrocious weather. Oh, so, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of thinking it's going to have to either be loopy sort of visit-y day trips into the November and October month, which are going to be like 7 miles of progress and still quite a lot of walking anyway. So many of those lasting, I don't know, if weekends wise, 2 more months perhaps. But otherwise, I do just give up and come back in spring, do the remaining 4 days of this week properly with, you know, a tent and stuff. I don't know, I haven't decided yet. Watch this space. There will be more hiking, obviously, because, you know, I don't really have a lot else on. So, but yeah, I don't know what to do about what's just happened today and what remains for the remaining 4 days. We'll see. So anyway, I'm going to sign off now and go and get some snacks and then hit the long drive home. So see you next time, if you can still see me in the dark.